following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello, everyone. This is Rob Deininger with Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and I'm here with Jack Degraw, and we are talking Yankees baseball. How you doing, Jack?
Good. How are you today, Robert?
I'm not too bad. Yankees have off today, but otherwise the spring training continues on. What have you thought so far?
Well, I mean, the great points is Cole looks good, Montgomery looks good, Frazier's hitting the ball well, and Andujar looks like he hasn't missed a beat with that. But you want to bring up the bad stuff, Robert?
Yeah. Well, it turns out last time we talked about the injuries to Paxton and Severino, and it turns out that the Yankees, when they gave Severino an MRI scan at the end of the season last year, they didn't use the dye because it causes inflammation, which I don't know why they wouldn't have done it. The season was over, but when they finally used the dye this last time, it showed the tear, and if they would have just done it, the right way the first time, Severino might not miss a year and a half. Maybe he just would have missed this season. So that was kind of concerning to hear that. And Judge is going for more tests today. The Yankees and Aaron Boone are frustrated that they can't pinpoint what his injury is, but it's causing a lot of discomfort and pain when he swings a bat.
Have you heard anything about Stanton?
Stanton, he had the grade 1 strain in his calf. Boone said he looked good yesterday, yesterday, that he was walking without a limp for the first time and that he was smiling. So he's feeling better. If I'm the Yankees, I don't rush Stanton back because he's the type that will try to play through an injury. So I think they just got to let that heal up and then take it slow with him.
Yeah, like we were talking off air, I think with guys like Judge and Stanton, you want them to be 100% because you want them to perform in October. The Yankees got an excellent team. They'll win a lot of games, and it really doesn't make any difference to me who's on the opening day roster, even if they're available in April. Just get these guys healthy, and, they'll be productive for you. The Yankees got a lot of talent, so they don't need them back right away.
No, and I'm confident Stanton will be back at some point, but I'm just a little concerned with Judge because he was down in Tampa before the other players arrived in January working out, and he was feeling discomfort then, and it wasn't until sometime in 2 weeks into February where the Yankees I think he finally said something, the Yankees shut him down. And since then he's had 2 MRIs that have come back negative. And he can throw from 120 feet without any discomfort, but it's swinging the bat that's the problem. It's they say it's underneath the pectoral muscle near the armpit. So he's going for several tests today, but they haven't specified what kind of tests he's going to be taking.
The interesting thing to me, ever since he was in that home run derby for the All-Star game a couple years ago, he's had trouble with his shoulder. I'm not saying that caused it, but it just seems weird that ever since then he's had trouble with his shoulder. He's been hurt a lot, so I don't have anything to do with it, but it might have.
Yeah, I mean, you look at last year. I mean, he was in and out of the lineup almost the entire season. And you got to wonder everything. Things started hurting on him after that home run derby.
Yeah, that's when everything just seemed to start. I mean, it could be just, a coincidence, but, maybe not. Who knows?
And a couple of reporters, Brian Hotch, he's reported that if the Yankees start opening day with Stanton and Judge on the IL, Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar, Talkman, and the guy that they signed as a non-invite, I think they invited to camp, Herrera, would be on the opening day roster. Blanking Brett Gardner in center field.
Yeah, in the off season, like a lot of people were wondering, why they signed guys like Herrera and Thomas Malone and Zach granted, guys who played in the major leagues, in the outfield, maybe they had they knew, like Judge was a question mark and Stanton was a question mark. So you want these guys around in case somebody, in case they get hurt, which has happened.
Yeah, and this guy Herrera, he can play 6 positions. He can play all 3 outfield positions, and he can play second, short, and third. And plus, he's a switch hitter, which they like because he gives them a lefty bat.
Yeah, I went to like the workouts, and he was in the outfield. He was working with Stanton and Judge, and they were doing a lot of communicating. And I seen him take batting practice, and the ball really jumps off his bat. And a guy who can play all those positions, I know you were telling me don't have a lot of at bats in professional baseball yet, but he seems to have a heck of a lot of talent.
Yeah, I think he only has 421 career at bats, but this spring he's batting 500. He's 7 for 14. He's got 4 RBIs. He's looked really good. Yeah, I mean, he's been impressive. Yeah,
well, they get he's gotten an opportunity. Whatever, did anybody sign Robert offhand? Do you know if anybody signed Cameron Maybin?
I want to say I thought I heard the Phillies, but I'm not sure. Oh no, I'm thinking of Metuchen. I'm gonna look up real quick. Cameron Maybin.
Because I know there's a lot of guys still are free agent and stuff. I think Pugh is still a free agent, and there's a bunch of pitchers. But I mean, the free agent market. Yeah,
he signed with the Tigers.
Okay, that's his original team. So,
yeah.
He should get a lot of playing time out there with Austin Romine being the catcher now, and Romine's got a big beard, so he's gotten away from the Yankees.
Yeah, I hope he does well. I mean, he was he was impressive last year. He got some extended at bats last year, and I think he had a pretty good year at the plate last year, Austin Romine.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting up there in years, and it's time for him to go to a team where he can get, possibly be a starting catcher, get a lot at bats, and make some money. And I think a guy like that, at some point you might see him back with the Yankees as a player at the end of his career, or maybe even as a coach. So, I hope he does well.
Yeah, and Clint Frazier, he's, as you know, he's someone I'm high on. He's had a great spring too. I mean, he's hitting the ball hard. I mean, and he's been more disciplined at the plate too. He's got no strikeouts, and he's laying off some bad pitches, and he's hitting the ball hard.
Well, I mean, when you see him up close, I mean, the ball just flies off the bat. Same thing with Andujar. There's just a different sound to it. And I mean, I think if they keep Frazier in left field, he'll do a nice job. And the Yankees are lucky to have him. I'm glad now they didn't trade him.
Yeah, and Andujar is another one. He hit a opposite field home run, which was a line drive. He had a line drive double, down the left field side. The guy just the ball jumps off his bat, and you could tell he's just missing on the pitches. It's like he's just about to break out. You could tell. I mean, he's not someone who strikes out a lot. He makes a lot of contact, and you could tell he's just missing on his pitches, which usually tells you he's close to going on a tear.
Yeah, with all the time he missed last year. And I know he worked hard in the off season. He was down here in Tampa a lot, taking fly balls in the outfield. So, he'll get his chance. He'll probably be on the opening day roster, and I'm glad they kept him too. Yeah,
because the rookie year he put up some impressive stats. But to me, the most impressive one was in almost 600 at-bats, he had less than 100 strikeouts. In a day and age where everyone's striking out over 100 times, sometimes over 200 times in a lot of cases, he didn't strike out that much.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Like you were saying, now they seem to strike out all the time. And him and Frazier are the same. They don't seem to strike out a lot. And, you get in the middle of the lineup, and especially when, we know how a lot of those guys did in the playoffs. That's a great talent to have, not to strike out.
Yeah, and going back to Frazier, the home run he hit, he followed. Tyler Wade had homered, and Frazier followed that with a homer of his own. And you're right, the ball just jumped off his bat, and I mean he tattooed it. I mean the ball just flies off his bat.
Yeah, I've seen him play a couple of games down here, and in each game, he hit a few rockets. I mean, it didn't show in the hit column, but the ball was just flying off the bat. It looks like he's in almost a mid-season form already.
Yeah, and going to their pitching right now, it looks like Jordan Montgomery, they say, is penciled in as the number 4 starter. He's had a good spring so far. In 4 innings, he hasn't given up a run. I think he's only allowed 1 hit, and he struck out 7. And a couple of reports say that Jonathan Loaiza right now has the inside track for the 5th spot in the rotation. The Yankees like Sessa too, but they also like him more out of the bullpen. But you can always flip-flop them if you had to, if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think that's what they'll do with the 5th starter. They'll have Loaiza and they'll have Sessa, and maybe they'll have Chad Green start a game here and there and stuff like that. So I'm not really that concerned right now about the Yankees pitching because, you're going to have Paxton coming back and you're going to have Herman at some point in mid-June. So, it's not as grave as it appears.
Yeah, I heard that there was a report Herman got into a car accident, I guess in the Dominican, but apparently he's okay, that he didn't suffer any injuries. So he got lucky on that one.
Yeah, the thing I heard, there was 4 people in the car.
Oh, really?
He was in the back seat, and I believe that the driver, I think he might have broke his arm or something like that, and I don't know the way they drive down there in the Dominican Republic. It's you're better. You might be better riding the bicycle. I don't know.
Yeah. And 2 of the rookies that have stood out to me from a pitching standpoint has been Clark Schmidt and Deivi Garcia, but especially Clark Schmidt. Yeah,
I mean he's really looked, he's really looked good this spring, and I mean he's faced top flight competition in college, so I think he might not need as much time as AAA as a lot of pitchers, so he might be able to step in at some point this season. You have his stats for spring training so far, Robert?
Yeah, Garcia. Schmidt, and he's pitched in 2 games. He's pitched 3 innings. He's only given up 3 hits. Struck out 1, but no runs. He's pretty good.
Well,
and
they got talent.
They said he's incorporating a slider into his arsenal of pitches because he has a plus fastball and a plus breaking ball, but they say I guess he's working in a slider too as well.
How about Deivi Garcia?
Deivi Garcia, yeah, he's pitched in 1 game, 2 innings. He gave up a 2-run homer, but he struck out 3. You could tell his stuff's good. His curveball buckles your knees. He's another one who's got a plus fastball and a plus curveball, and he's also working on a slider. But he did give up the 2-run homer, but that was the only hit he gave up, and he struck out 3 in 2 innings. So the Yankees love his ceiling. They think he's got the ceiling's, extremely high. They just think he needs to work on his command, especially with the fastball.
Well, one of the comments I heard about him, a lot of the Yankee brass, I think Boone even pointed it out, they like the way Garcia attacks hitters. He goes after them. He's aggressive. So, I mean, that's especially impressive in a young pitcher because a lot of times they get out there in the spring and they get intimidated or, when they see major league hitters. But Garcia just went right after these guys. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, they said they love his mound presence. He has a presence on the mound, and you're right. I think he's only 20 years old, and they love the life he has on his fastball. He just gets in trouble with the command every now and then.
Well, that's to be expected. I mean, when you get up to AAA and you're pitching in the spring training games against the major leaguers, these guys are experienced. So the pitches that you can get away with in the low minors, like A ball and maybe even AA, you can't get away with in AAA, and especially in the big leagues.
Yeah, and that other guy, Michael King, he's looked pretty good too. I mean, he's pitched in 2 games. He's pitched 3 2/3 innings. He's given up no runs, and he's only given up 1 walk. But I mean, he's looked good too. The Yankees have a number of young pitchers who have looked good this spring.
Well, that's one of the things that makes the spring training games fun. When you see all the young talent come in, and that's always something to look forward to.
Yeah, and one of the other top pitching prospects, Luis Medina, he's pitched in 2 games, and he's struck out 4 in 3 innings, and he's only given up 1 hit and no runs. He's looked good too. A lot of their top prospects, have looked really good so far this spring.
Yeah, I believe I seen Medina the first game. When he pitched, he pitched against Toronto, and he looked good. And they got some good live arms, and I think Medina will start this year with the Tampa Tarpons in High A. I'm not sure, so hopefully I get a chance to see him pitch down here.
Yeah, and I want to see Tanaka start again. His first start, he looked sharp the first inning, and then he got bit by the home run in the second inning, gave up a 2-run homer. But that's Tanaka, though, right? I mean, he looks great 1 inning, and then he gets bit in that 1 inning where he gives up the long ball.
Yeah, like we were talking about, Severino and stuff. I mean, I remember Tanaka. It looked like he needed surgery, like maybe 3 years ago, and they he pitched through it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you never know. Maybe they thought the same thing with Severino. He was going to pitch through it, but Severino throws a lot harder, probably more stress on the arm. So, but Tanaka's pitched through his injuries and has done. I think he's done everything the Yankees have expected.
Yeah, because he had a partial tear of. I still can't remember what it was.
Yeah, 'cause I remember at one point they were saying, well, they might close him down and give him Tommy John.
Yeah.
But I mean, but since then he's won 40 games counting the playoffs. So some guys can pitch through injuries.
Yeah, I'm just looking, to see what his injury history was, and the page that came up had to do with his hamstring. Remember when he pulled both his hamstrings against the Mets, running the home plate?
Yeah.
I don't know how you pull both hamstrings, but yeah.
Well,
but yeah, the Yankees, though, a lot of fans are worried, about the injuries to the pitching staff, and then with Judge and Stanton. But we're a pretty deep team. I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean the thing is they're going to win a lot of games in the American League. How many good teams are there really? How many teams are in the American League that can win 90, 95 games? There's not really that many. The Twins might be able to do it. The Rays might be able to do it. Maybe Oakland, but I don't see too many other teams. Able to make that big of a jump.
No.
So there's not really a lot of good teams in the American League. And the Red Sox. I mean, who knows how they're going to do this year? I mean, I'm sure they'll be somewhere around 85, 90 wins, but I don't see them being as good as they normally are.
Not only did they trade away Betts and David Price, but I guess Chris Sale will be starting the season on the injured list. I'm not sure what his injury is, but he's the ace of the rotation. So if he's not able to start the season, Red Sox could have a tough year ahead of them. Hopefully.
Yeah. I know they've had some rough seasons in the last 10 or 12 years, but they'll have a bad year, and then they'll usually come back and be stronger than ever. They'll lose sometimes. They've had years they lost 95 games, but the next year they come back and they were in the playoffs or won the World Series. So I don't see the Red Sox being down for too long.
No, and the Rays, they'll be right there nipping at the Yankees' heels. I mean, I give that organization credit because I can barely name a couple guys on their team, but they're always there at the end of the year fighting.
Yeah, they do a great job down here. I mean, it's incredible what they've accomplished, and I'm sure it'll be good again this year.
Yeah, and for me, the Blue Jays are the interesting team in the American League East because they got a lot of young talent. You just wonder if they can pull something off like the Yankees did a couple of years ago when they brought up their young players, if they can catch lightning in a bottle.
Well, the good thing is they're letting these kids are learning at the major league level. Bichette, Biggio, Guerrero Jr. and if they can get some pitching, they're going to really be bothersome in the coming years because these kids they're not overwhelmed. I mean, they look like they belong here, and they do. They had impressive stats last year, and they're only going to get better. And if they can swing a deal for a pitcher or two, or develop a pitcher in the minor leagues, they're going to give the Yankees a lot of trouble in the coming years.
Yeah. And like you said, there's only like a handful of teams that can win 90 games. What do you think the Astros are going to be like this year? Because you already see the spring training crowds are giving it to them.
Well, the interesting thing to me about the Astros, I want to see how other teams react to them on the field. Like when a guy gets on first base or somebody hits a double. They always come over and chit-chat and stuff. Even before the game, batting practice, they might be talking. It'll be just interesting to see how other teams react to them.
Yeah, and I saw a stat a couple of days ago that Houston's players have already been hit the most of any team in spring training. So they already have pitchers throwing at them. I think that's just going to continue into the regular season.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if it keeps on, keeps happening in the regular season. I think, the abuse they're going to get from fans and stuff like that. And I mean, they were just so arrogant in what they were doing. They were just so wide open on what they were doing. So
I mean, and like we talked about it before on one of our shows. The owner just made it worse because when he came out and gave that press conference, he said it didn't affect the game, which is ludicrous because it did affect the games. But they just seemed like they were arrogant. We had a good team. We would have won it anyway. I think if they just would have apologized sincerely, it would have moved away and moved on a lot faster. Yeah,
I mean they do have outstanding players. They have a terrific team, and they could have won the fairway. But, when coming out and said it doesn't affect the game, of course it affects the game. And the thing is, they're so blatant about it, when you're banging trash cans. But, when you see all this technology, it can be used for good things. And, it can also be used, for bad. Yeah. But when you're so blatant about what you did, that's what I think pisses a lot of people off. And I think, it pissed a lot of players off, too, because I've never seen players come out with some of the comments they have. They're really, pissed off at the Astros.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially Cody Bellinger came out really hard against them and said that, Judge should have won the MVP over Altuve and we should have won the title instead of them. And I think someone else said the whole team needed to get a beating.
Yeah.
I forget who that was. I think it might have been Bellinger.
I think that was Nick Markakis.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Right. So what are you looking forward to going forward? the rest of spring training.
Well, just hopefully everybody can stay healthy. That's number one. And everything's pretty much set, Robert. I just want to see the young pitchers keep coming in and keeping developing, and that's what I'm looking for. Hopefully, Andujar will get a lot of reps in the outfield, and I just want to see him stay healthy. That's the big thing.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eye on Andujar too, because I think he's ready to break out, and I like to see Clint Frazier continue hitting, because I just like this. I have a feeling he might be used as a trade chip at some point during the season, and I just like to see him get a chance to play somewhere, because I think Frazier could be a perennial all-star if given the opportunity to play full-time.
Yeah, I mean, until we find out what's the matter with Judge, he might be playing a lot more than we anticipated.
Yeah, and hopefully we find something out around 5-6 o'clock this evening about Judge. The one thing the Yankees are frustrated about is that they can't pinpoint an injury. They can't find an injury, even though they know where it's located. There's all the tests and MRIs are coming back negative, so it's a little concerning. But hopefully we find out more this evening. Yeah,
I mean, everything's just a big question mark. With all the injuries had, it's like you want to find out what's causing it.
Yeah, and some position battles. I thought maybe Mike Ford would make the roster as, the backup first baseman, but a lot of reports saying he might not make the roster.
Well, I think with the injuries to Stanton and stuff, you might want to keep Wade and
Herrera.
Like guys like that. And but the thing is, Robert, even if they go to the minor leagues, your roster on opening day a week later could change. So it really doesn't mean too much.
And that backup catcher the Yankees signed, Aneta, he's had a good spring training, but so has Kratz. He's looked good too.
Yeah, I mean, they pencil in maybe Higashiota's being the backup. But, Ioneta's got a lot of experience in the big leagues. Kratz has been around forever. He's a good guy to have in your organization. I mean, he's like having a coach if he goes down to, the AAA and, with all the experience with the young guys, he can show them a lot. But they like Higashiota the way he frames pitches. He works good with the pitchers. And he's got some pop in his bat. So, at some point during the season, I'm sure we'll see all three of those guys in the big leagues.
Yeah, and I also, as far as pitchers, I want to keep an eye on Jordan Montgomery, because he's been pitching outstanding, and Jonathan Loaiza, because he's pitched outstanding too so far this spring. I think, in 2 games, he's pitched 3 innings. He hasn't given up a hit, walked a batter, and he's struck out 5. He's just looked incredibly sharp, so I want to see if he continues pitching well along with Montgomery.
Yeah, those 2 guys have had a lot of injuries, so, it'll be interesting to see how they come out of the spring. And, there's a good possibility, Robert. I mean, with the minor league spring training starting the 17th, they might leave guys like Montgomery and Loaiza, and they might keep them down here to play in the spring training games instead of going up to Baltimore, because they can get their work in down here. And then the second series, the Yankees come back to Tampa here, so you might see a lot of guys just stay back for to get their work in.
Yeah, and this week, tomorrow, we play the Red Sox, and we get a look at the Phillies. Maybe we'll see Didi Gregorius in the lineup. That would be interesting to see him wearing a Philly uniform. And then we play the Tigers again, Orioles, and Pirates, and we finish up with the Braves this week. So, full week of baseball after today.
Yeah, I think I was just sorry to see Didi go, but I knew why they did it. I think Torres will do a good job at short, but Didi's something special defensively, and he's a great teammate. He's a good hitter.
Yeah, and speaking of Torres, I don't think, switching, like you said, shortstop was his natural position. And that home run he hit the other day, I mean, he's a strong kid because I thought it was just going to be a fly ball, and that ball, it just kept going.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be behind home plate when he hit that. I mean, it was a rocket. I mean, and there was a lot of wind that day. So it had to get through, a gust of wind. And, I mean, it was a no-doubter. I mean, I think he'll do a good job at shortstop. I don't think he'll be overwhelmed. You got Wade to back him up and, maybe even Kyle Holder come out of the minor league for a few games. But, they got a great team, and, I'm not worried. They'll win a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, DJ LeMahieu, I mean, even though he's off to a slow start, he's a great leadoff hitter to have, and I think we'll see Torres batting third the majority of the season, and probably Judge will probably hit second when he's in the lineup. But we got a good lineup, and I hope the Yankees find a way to keep Andujar's bat in the lineup because I'm really high on Andujar.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't know what they were going to do with him, coming in the spring, and now with the injuries, I think we know they're probably going to play him a lot. So
yeah, they were playing him in left and at third, but if Judge's injury is baffling to the Yankees, I think they might want to play Andujar a little bit more in the outfield instead of spreading him around too much. Yeah,
I mean, I like to see him get a lot of work in left field, and the thing is, if you can catch fly balls down here in Florida with the sun and the wind, you can play the outfield anywhere.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that several weeks ago, and watching the games. You're right. I mean, the wind up there, those guys, they got to wait a while for that ball to come down. It hangs up there.
I mean, the breeze down, the wind down here, it's brutal. I don't know how these guys can see with the high sun and the wind. It's just, if you can catch them down here, you can catch them anywhere.
Yeah. Well, next Monday, Jack?
Yeah, we'll get a show in the next 4 or 5 days. Hopefully, we'll know what's going on with Judge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm confident with Stanton, coming back healthy, but Judge does have me a little worried, especially when they can't find out what's wrong with him.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll know by the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure as always, Jack.
Okay, Robert. It's always a lot of fun talking to you, and hopefully next week we'll have even some more news.
Yeah, hopefully it's good news too, and no more injuries to the pitching staff.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. Okay, Jack, and to all you Yankee fans, we'll talk to you soon.
Take care.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices, and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.